This is teaching for women. If I don't make it clear, this is teaching for women. Okay, so we don't have to wear fringes anymore. There's a difference between the rock of Horeb and Mount Sinai. When Jehovah brought them out of Egypt in Exodus 31, they chitted to Moses. They thirsted for water at the rock of Horeb. They desired water to drink. Moses brought the elders up to the rock of Horeb. He smite the rock. The life-giving water was given. You can see that the elders were baptized in it in 1 Corinthians 10. And Deuteronomy chapter 4 through 5 tells you what was desired at Horeb, which was the life-giving water, the 10 Commandments, the life-giving water Yeshua told the Samaritan woman at the well about. What was prophesied, well, going back, so that was what was given with Jehovah's voice. Out of the midst of the fire, they didn't see a figure, they only heard a voice. He gave them the 10 Commandments. They feared him and agreed to keep those 10 Commandments, but because they feared him, they had Moses go up on Mount Sinai after Horeb, where he was going to receive those 2 tables of stone with the 10 Commandments written by the finger of God. He was up there for 40 days and 40 nights. And Exodus 32, they grew in patience. They didn't know what happened to him. So they gathered around Aaron and they had him make a golden calf, breaking the 1st, 2nd, and 7th commandment. That's why Moses, when he came down from Mount Sinai, he threw the 2 tables of stone down, breaking them, signifying they broke the verbal contract they just made with Jehovah. And then they were given the punishment, the sacrificial law, the handwritten ordinances, and that Moses wrote in a book in Deuteronomy 31. Verse 24, and it came to pass when Moses had made an end of writing of the words of this law in a book, the 613 laws, until they were finished. They were there for a period of time until they were finished, not meant to be forever. The 2 tables of stone with the 10 Commandments that Jehovah wrote with his finger was placed under the mercy seat inside the Ark of the Covenants. Verse 25 of Deuteronomy 31, that Moses commanded the Levites, which bear the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord, saying, take this book of the law and put it on the side of the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord your God, that it may be there as a witness against thee. So it was only there until it was finished, placed in the side of the Ark of the Covenant, not inside, until, or as a witness against them. This is, so Colossians chapter 2, verse 14 tells you the handwritten ordinances by Moses was the one that was nailed to the stake. Blotting out the handwriting of ordinances Moses wrote. The 10 Commandments were written by the finger of God on 2 tables of stone. Blotting out the handwritings of ordinances that was against us, the handwritten ordinances Moses wrote that was a witness against them, which was contrary to us, and took it out of the way, nailing it to the cross. Yeshua was that seed in Galatians 3:19. Serve the sacrificial law. It was added, the only law added to the covenants. In Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse 22, it tells you that Jehovah gave the 10 commandments with his voice, and then he added no more. That was at Horeb. The law added. In Galatians 3:19, serve the sacrificial law. It was added because of transgression until the seed should come, which the promise was made. Yeshua nailed the sacrificial law to the cross and refreshed the covenants at Horeb. This is what was prophesied in Deuteronomy 18. He would give them everything desired at Horeb. The 10 commandments Jehovah gave with his voice and added no more. And he did that in Matthew 22 when he said, love God with all your heart, soul, and mind. He quoted Deuteronomy chapter 6 right after they received the 10 commandments. He tells you to keep all the commandments. Love God with all your heart, soul, and mind. Keep the commandments in your heart. Teach them to your children. It will be your righteousness. He desires mercy over sacrifice and the knowledge of God over burnt offerings. He told you to go learn what that meant. Jehovah's mercy. Deuteronomy 4:30, if you find yourself in tribulation in the latter days, turn back to his voice, what was given with his voice, the 10 commandments, and he will have mercy on you. Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse 10, having mercy on thousands of them who love him and keep his commandments. Deuteronomy chapter 7, same thing, having mercy on thousands of them who love him and keep his commandments. Or that's Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 9. And then the 2 tables of stone with the 10 commandments written by the finger of the God placed under the mercy seat. He desired mercy over sacrifice. His second commandment, to love your neighbor as thyself. He quoted Leviticus chapter 19, 15 through 18, to do righteous judgments. Do no unrighteous judgment. His first commandments to love God is to keep the commandments, which will be your righteousness. So do righteous judgment. Judge by the 10 commandments, not by the flesh. Do righteous judgment, what he rebuked the Pharisees for in Matthew 15, rebuking the disciples for commandments of men, unwashed hands over commandments of Jehovah. He says, why do you do commandments of men over commandments of Jehovah? He rebuked them for doing unrighteous judgment. Do not be respecters of persons. This is James chapter 2, verse 8 and 9. The royal law, love thy neighbor as thyself according to scripture, Leviticus 19, 15 through 18. Do not be respecters of persons. Do not honor the poor and, or do not respect the poor and honor the mighty. Don't be respecters of persons or you commit sin, James chapter 2, verse 8 and 9. But rebuke your neighbor with communication instead of stoning them to death by the sacrificial law. This is his mercy. Rebuke your neighbor so they don't suffer sin upon them. Love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord. Because if you don't, Ezekiel chapter 3, you're going to have blood on your hands because they're going to die in their iniquity, and then Jehovah's going to require their blood at your hand for not rebuking them, not warning them to turn away from their sin. The magnified law, Isaiah 42, Yeshua would come to magnify the law and make it honorable. There's no honor in stoning your neighbor through the sacrificial law. There's 2 covenants. This is Galatians 4. Okay, do not touch Mount Sinai. Do not lust after the Agar, the bondwoman. We're of the free woman, the one with promise in Ephesians chapter 6, verse 3, to honor your father and your mother, which is Yeshua's first commandment, because he quoted Deuteronomy chapter 6, all about honoring your father and your mother. Romans chapter 8, for the law of the Spirit of life in Yeshua Messiah, Spirit of truth, John 14, given to those who keep